I was gonna wear white, honestly, that was what I was gonna wear at first. You're gonna wear dress night again? I had to make this video. Well, we don't have to do the space.
Meeting will come to order. This is a meeting of the Littlestown Area Board of School Directors. This is a meeting of the board taking place in the public in accordance with the Sunshine Act. District residents who wish to address the board are required to sign up to provide public comment at least 5 minutes prior to the start of the meeting. Public participation will occur only during the designated public comment portion of the agenda. Disruptions, interruptions, outbursts, or other disorderly conduct of any kind will not be tolerated. By attending and or commenting publicly in this meeting, you are consenting to the district's recording, retention, and future viewing of this meeting. This meeting is also being live streamed as a convenience to the public. In the event the live stream fails or cannot be transmitted for any reason, the in-person meeting will continue without interruption. Mr. Shoemaker, would you please call the roll?
Allie McCall.
Here.
Nate Lovell.
Here.
Jeannie Ewan.
Here.
Janelle Ressler.
Here.
Wayne Sullivan.
Here.
Stephen Yerger.
Here.
Don Bayless.
Here. Ellen Nicole.
Oh.
Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
All right, do we have any board acknowledgements or announcements this evening?
Just our softball team, they went all the way to the states, lost unfortunately in the last game. They couldn't go further, but hats off to them and the coaches for an amazing season. They did great.
Absolutely.
Had a great year.
Graduation was very nice.
Yep, it was. We had a great graduation ceremony. Congratulations again to all of our graduates.
Did we ever find out how many percent graduated?
Doctor, did we find out their percentage?
Oh, come on.
Would you put numbers? What percentage is that? What did
We
that?
actually get that from Teacher Ready in the fall.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to have
I'll get back
how
to
many
it.
graduated.
Anyone else? All right, we do not have any public comment this evening. So we're going to move right along to Mrs. Becker and the Thunderbolt Foundation.
I've got Yancy Unger with me tonight. Yancy is the Vice President of the Thunderbolt Foundation, and I'm also going to recognize Jill. All right, I'll show you her because she is the Secretary of the Foundation, so she's a new board member and sort of volunteered to be the Secretary. So we're here tonight for a brief presentation about an initiative that we would like to embark on to get the go-ahead from you so that I can start working on getting some grants to support this project. And Nancy is actually heading it up, and he has that background. We're very thankful for all the guidance and help. How this came about is a year ago we had received a grant from a teacher, and it was requesting an outdoor greenhouse, like it's just a little small one. And we were concerned it's going to blow away. It's, you know, where it was at, and it's not going to be something that is substantial. And from there, we started learning from teachers in all 3 buildings that there is a need for some outdoor learning opportunities for the kids. So Nancy and I met with elementary teachers, representative from middle school and high school, sort of talk to them what is needed to enhance their learning, because that's what we do. We find ways that we can bring things in to enhance the learning opportunities for the kids in our district, and that's what our job is. There's things that can't be supported, or there's extra things to make learning even better. So that's where Yancey came in, and he has a lot of background. I'll let him talk about that. So that's where this all started. So this is coming from a lot of conversation with administration and teachers. And this is a project that we would like to dive into. Now understand that this is a project we would support. So this is not us coming to you saying we need money to do this. This is something that we would finance, not the district. So we'll take that question right off the table. This is financed by us, not by the district, but it is going to be something that is going to benefit our kids, K through 12, in the long run. Well, I'm going to turn it over to Nancy.
Yeah, the thing I would just add to that is it's environmental literacy, right? So we met with the stakeholders first at Alloway, right? Joel, we met, with your group, and there was just a big impetus to have something for hands-on, right? We live in a rural community, right? But unfortunately, sometimes our kids still go home and sit in their houses and can't tell a maple leaf from an oak leaf or something. So I think the take on, we first met with the Alloway Creek science group from every grade level down here, which was a great meeting. And that's the pure thought here. This is going to be an outdoor learning center here at Alloway for the K-5 program, right? But where are those kids going? Those kids are then going to the Hill, right, to the new middle school and high school. So we then did meet with the middle and high school science group. So we got buy-in from everyone. Everyone's pretty excited about it. So some of the big, and I guess it goes back, I'm not the curriculum person, but it goes back to the Steels, I think in 2022, we started having a little more impetus on environmental literacy. If I'm looking at the academia here, correct me if I'm wrong. So, in talking with some of the high school, middle school teachers, science teachers, they said, listen, there's definitely some lack of understanding in natural sciences with some of the kids that come up from Alloway. So that's what we wanted to do. And we just thought, it's something that we could do an outdoor learning center, and we're not taking away, there's outdoor teaching spaces right now, right in the courtyard, so we're not taking away those will still be there. We're going to look at adding something, I think I'm pointing in the right direction, to the north end of the building, and some of the main,
Yeah, I think that's right.
yeah, some of the main objectives were a small greenhouse, and we're still just at the start of designing this thing, right? We've talked with the stakeholders, but a small greenhouse, there is a high priority to have a sink or water, right, and power. We talked about having some raised planting beds to allow the kids to have some plants and composting, a lot of sustainable features we wanted to discuss, not so much with building sustainable, but more plant growth and composting, maybe solar power, maybe some weather stations. So just things that we can get this thing started, and then as this thing grows over the years, we can maybe then connect this to the nature trail, and then you have that connection to the high school. So that's where we are. Questions? Thoughts? Anything else? Have I missed anything?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the importance of this is that it's something that, especially talking to the STEM teacher in this building, you're in one little room and you're teaching K through 12 science standards. And this is going to give another opportunity for learning through the whole entire school year. If any of you have ever tried to grow plants in a classroom, I have. It does not work well, as much as you try. But that's where, like, the greenhouse. Now, we're not talking a full-fledged greenhouse. We're talking a smaller level greenhouse that the teachers can then use and grow things throughout the year. It also will tie in with the hydroponics that we have. Right there you have some learning, hydroponics versus greenhouse versus outdoor beds. And, the research that can go into this for the kids. So what we're looking for is the okay to move forward with this, that you are okay with us doing this project, we will keep you up to date. Like I said, we're at the point where we're ready to start moving, but if we don't have the support of the board, we're not going to take the time to move into it. Like I said, the cost would be incurred by us. We would get the money through different grants that we have available that I know that I can go after, and support from different places that we can get the money. And like I said, we're looking at a little bit of everything, solar. Maybe.
And because of the power, the sanitary water, some site modifications, we're going to need to permit it. So we're going to need your approval to go through that process. This isn't intended to be a large addition or anything at all. I mean, this is intended to be an outdoor learning center with an indoor garden. We talked about even this greenhouse could maybe be a kit, depending on what we could find, or something like that, where the kids can go in. It's nothing like we have the size of the high school.
Yeah, it's on a smaller level, but it's still going to be large enough that it's going to enable the classes and the teachers to be able to expand their curriculum and, do a little bit more like that. Do we have a plan what it looks like? Not yet, because we need your approval first before we can move forward. Once we have that approval, then we can start looking at, okay, what does it look like? And then we can report back to you, this is where it's going to be, this is what it's going to look like, these are the components and such. So that's what we're looking for, is just to have that okay from the board, because it is something that would become part of the district. And like I said, eventually like Nancy said, we do want to get back and clean up that area where the nature trail is. That has a lot of potential, and I know the high school goes down there a lot. There's a lot we can do there. We need new bridges. We need different things in there, and that eventually would be a part of that, which is going to open up a lot of learning opportunities for high school teachers that do go down there currently.
If we get approval, sorry, I know your question. If we get approval, I did put together a schedule. I mean, we're hoping we can design this through the rest of this year and look at permitting, bidding into early next year, and have this be constructed next summer. So just to give you an idea, it's about an overall 12-month process.
Awesome. Well, I don't know if there's any questions from the board. I just want to say I think it sounds like a wonderful idea. We appreciate the foundation taking this on, and your mission is always to enhance and come alongside the district in our educational programs and assisting our educators with our mission and vision for the district. So we really appreciate that. And as far as I go, you have my full support and blessing. So anyone else?
Your kids interested in FFA too. So.
Yeah, that's really, it's a good point. That's really the only group I didn't to talk to, but I should, and we will if we can move forward for sure.
Are these agriculture grants? What kind of grants are they? Science grants?
Grants, the grants that we're looking
What
at.
kind of grants are they? Science?
There's a lot of grant money out there.
Okay.
I have grants that I have been waiting to apply for the right project, and this is the right project for it. When you're dealing with environmental, that even opens up a lot more doors for things to come in. So I'm looking that we can probably get most of this funded through grants, and then maybe a little bit of money for us, because with some of the grants you do have to provide money before they will give you money, like a percentage, so we would fund the other part of it.
Now, would this only be like vegetation, or would it have fish, ponds, anything like that?
I don't want to put in a pond. That's me saying that. I think that's a little more upkeep. We'll look at it going through, but when we went through the stakeholders, there was no mention of fish or pond. But good question. So there was, the only animals we talked about was possibly butterflies, but maybe the butterfly bushes and stuff, just to attract local.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Honeybees.
Yeah, looking at a lot of with like bird houses and such. It's going to open up a whole lot of opportunities. I mean, look at this as something that, as we go through, talking with the teachers, we may find something else that we need to add on. And because they're driving what we're doing, so they are fully aware of what's happening. We went to them before we came to you to make sure that this is a vision that they have too. And so this is really driven from the educators in this district who want to have the means to really do more for their students, and I think it will be exciting. A really great opportunity for the kids and for the teachers to have that one more resource at their fingers that they can, go out.
So there'll be something to learn at every grade, K to 5?
Currently, it's amazing if you talk to Billy Lockman, the STEM teacher, what he does in that little classroom is amazing to me. As I walk in there as a former science teacher and I see what he's trying to do K through 5 in that little room, and projects here, projects there. It's going to help him to expand his curriculum. And the other thing that he runs into problems is that a lot of times the way the curriculums fall, 3rd grade might want to be doing plants and 4th grade might want to be doing plants at the same time. Can't do it because there's not enough space to do that. Well, now it's going to open up opportunities that there can be more opportunities across grade levels at the same time. So,
But yeah, we met with K through 5, all the science group.
and they were very
Bill.
excited.
Yeah.
They
And
were
we're gonna have
very
his STEM classrooms in the core of Alloway, and we've looked at that where you can get kids out to this, promptly, so they're not making a long
year-round.
walk to the outdoor learning center. So yeah, we
Yeah.
have discussed that.
And just, growing things. And then it also lends the opportunity, we have a very strong FFA in our district, and more opportunities for them to even come down and work with our kids in different ways. So in the long run, there's going to be more than probably we're even thinking of right now for the possibilities, but this is our starting point. And like I said, we'll come back once we get moving and show you things. Don't expect to go out one day and see something built in the back, because we will know before we're going to do everything. We don't work like that. We will keep you well informed of what is going to be happening in different stages and where we're at. And just like any building project, we all know things don't always go according to plan, but we have a plan and we're ready to start moving forward with your approval.
I think it sounds fantastic. I love that this idea has been created by the teachers that are going to be using the facility. Just a few things. I guess it's something that can be evolved. So once you start with it, it'll be built to we can be added on to it.
I think
for
the
years to come.
connection to the the nature walk, that's nothing that we're going to do in phase 1.
Oh,
right?
sure.
I think we're going to start, and our plan has listed the first phase and phase 2. We have stages, and we're going to have to see costs and grants.
And they might change too, depending on what the teachers are looking for, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's a good question. I think we want to plan for it now. You always want to plan for what the future wants to be. You may not be able to afford it, right? But we want to at least plan and schedule for that now. So that's what we're trying to do.
Okay. That sounds great.
Mr. Sullivan.
I got a question. So you put this greenhouse up. Is this going to be through the winter project? I mean, are you literally going to have students in there through the winter? Are you heating the greenhouse?
That is our hope.
We'd like this to be in all seasons. I mean, when you've got kids in school over winter time, I mean, there's plenty of outdoor learning centers all throughout PA that use them in the wintertime. I mean, from snow prints or tree structures where the leaves are off of the tree. There's a lot of things you can learn outside even when it's cold. So we don't want this just to be a beginning of school and end of school opportunity. But
That's great. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, we want it, the intention is to allow them to teach year round how they want to teach.
That's great.
So if they want to teach growing flowers in December, grow flowers. They'll have the opportunity to do that. So it's sort of created in mind to give them the teachable moments at a time when they would like them, and not having to move a curriculum around to try to get something in at this time. It can actually go in when they want it to go in, where it fits in with maybe another subject area within their curriculum.
Any other questions from the board? Is there any, I'll do it this way, is there any objection to the Thunderbolt Foundation moving forward with the project? No. I would hope there wouldn't be. All right. You guys have the blessing, and we look forward to what you guys come up with, and keep us up to date.
And then real quick, the last thing I will finish up with is if you follow us on Facebook, we've been doing a lot of work lately. We have passed out a lot of teacher grants and a lot of student grants. So there are going to be a lot of really great things coming with some of the innovative things that the teachers have applied for grants for. We look forward to seeing them. I'll report to you as they come through. And we've also given out a lot of student grants this year. So you will see kids that are going to, we have some basketball camps, bringing in special people to be working with them. We have field hockey that has gotten some grants. We have Ann Bear came in from the junior high, basketball, and FFA again is receiving money from us. So we have a lot of our students that have applied for money on behalf of their groups that are receiving them and going out and enjoying the summer, because most of those grants get used. Soccer is another one, and most of that money gets used in the summertime, and then the teachers will of course then kick in the fall. We did also receive a grant from Dollar General, and this is the first time we've gotten that grant. It was for $2,950, and their grants have to deal with reading and literacy. So this grant was focused on supporting the kindergarten summer program that they have when they're bringing the children in over the summer. So they all received, all the children that have come received summer bridge books, which are just like a little daily book where they can do a little bit of work each day to get their mind thinking, getting ready, prepared for school. We're going to be providing books for them, different supplies. So we worked with the kindergarten team on that grant. And like I said, the first time we've ever gotten one from Dollar General. So say thank you to them, and we got that, so we were thrilled to get that grant.
And you had a good golf outing.
I'm sorry.
You had a good golf outing.
Oh, we did have a good golf. It rained right after we were done. So I think the golf clouds like me, because I kept saying, do not rain, do not rain. Now the group after it's they got rained on, that's okay. But we had 136 golfers this year, and they all had a good time, and it's always great seeing. We have a lot of alumni that come back for this, and Mike Libby did come to one of our meetings, because that's why we have the golf tournament. It's because Mike had that tournament, and then he passed it down to us, and he wasn't able to attend this year because he was being inducted into the Big 33 this year. So he came to one of our meetings, and because it still supplies the scholarship that is in his brother's name, Neil, and so we're awarding those scholarships, and then we follow those kids through school and giving them textbook grants each year, and they're very thankful for that little bit of support. And I will tell you that I hear from some of the kids that we have given these scholarships to, and we follow them. And, when they become seniors, you hear, that $500 that you gave me towards my textbooks, you don't know how much that helped. And I think they also like the fact that we didn't forget about them. Here's your scholarship, goodbye, you're on your own. It's important to us that we do follow those kids and let them know that we do still care about them as they're finishing up their career, and that little bit of assistance and help. So that was something that we added, and it's been very successful and very much appreciated by our students that have received those. So we've been very busy, and we're going to be a lot busier, I believe, Nancy, right? So like I said, we're very excited about this project and all it can bring to the district, because after all, it's for the kids, and that's why we're here. And the opportunities that we can bring, science, I'm a little bit partial to it after my years teaching in that area, but it's just always important to remember this is why we're here. It's for the kids and our community and what we can do for everybody. And it's all of us working together in a positive way. And that's what I'm most looking forward to, is the positive impact this is going to have on our community.
Well, as always, thank you so much for everything that you and the foundation do for our district people. And thank you all.
It's my board members. I give the credit to my board, because my board is who allows our foundation to grow. And it's their support and their positive outlook on the kids and what we can do for the teachers. That's what's important to them. And they support almost any crazy idea I bring. You know, they talk about things, but they work with me. And that's what I most appreciate about my board. I have a wonderful board. And they're why the Thunderbolt Foundation is successful. It's not one individual, it's every single member of the board and support that we get. And that's what is key. That working relationship, just being together and having the same goal, that's what I most appreciate. It's why I keep doing this. Somebody asked me how long, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I still like what I'm doing. And I'm having fun, and I enjoy being with the people that I'm working with. And as long as I'm having fun, and I enjoy, and I'm helping the teachers, many of whom I worked with were taught, and you know, that's very important to me. So as long as I have that motivation right here, I keep going.
And you have a 20-year contract with us.
I'm sorry.
And you have a 20-year contract.
A 20. I got a 20-year roof. Thank you.
Mrs. Becker. All right, Mr. Moran. And the wonderful ACES team.
You brought some rock stars with you.
So good evening. Yes, I brought a great group of people. You guys can come on. So I'll let them when it comes their turn to speak. They'll introduce themselves in case you're not aware of who they are, what grade they teach. Let me give a shout out to the group that's not here, but I'll do it towards the end of it. So good evening, members of the school board. Seems like we've been waiting forever, Judy and I and the team at ACES, for this moment in time about our ELA. We've been talking about it quite a bit for the last year and a half. Our focus tonight is just what was Beth and her team was talking about. It's about resources. So we're now looking at how can we add additional resources to help our students and our staff in ELA. Ensuring that these resources translate directly into classroom success. Tonight I'm proud to have the representatives of the ELA committee with us here in person and those who are at home listening to show how Into Reading is doing exactly that by driving critical skill development in vocabulary, fluency, and comprehension. The resource isn't just rigorous, it's structured to ensure education opportunities for all students, giving every single student, regardless of their classroom, access to top-tier literacy instruction. Let's examine how this investment is coming to life by our team. So, okay, good. So, yeah, you can go back and to the beginning there. So as he's getting that set, I'm on slide 2. So as he's getting that set, what we're going to talk about tonight is the why. Why Into Reading? Because again, we were looking at multiple things, so why are we choosing that? What's behind that? And then how? How has that impacted us through our pilot, through our experiences, through our team, our students, and our staff? And by the end of the presentation here tonight, and remember, we're not putting on a 3-hour presentation. We're giving you a condensed, shortened version of the most critical, most important pieces that we've experienced during our time. So the proof that's here. And as you indicated, as I came flashing into my red shirt, I was trying to bring our portfolios in that we'll distribute to you guys here just a little bit towards the end of their presentation. Oh, let's go to the third slide. All right, so key stress. These will be things you'll hear throughout the night as the group talks. Appropriate content, skill development, effective writing, active listening, and flexible delivery. So I'm not going to get into the detail. Our team will do that, and I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca.
Good evening, board members. My name is Brady McClintock. I'm a second grade teacher here at ACES. I was a part of the ELA committee in piloting the resource that we are looking to use in the coming school year. So I'm here to talk to you tonight a little bit about the proof from the students, what the students had to say as a result of using this resource. So at the end of the conclusion of the 6-week pilot, we surveyed students in grades 3, 4, and 5. 2/3 of the students surveyed satisfaction and were voting to continue into reading. Next slide, please. Here's a little bit of a breakdown of that survey. Each survey point was out of 5 points, and these are the averages across those 3 grade levels. So the students scored a 3.9 out of 5 of text reading to level match, which just means the materials are appropriately leveled for them. They felt like what they were reading was appropriate. It wasn't too easy, it wasn't too hard, but it was right where it needed to be. In terms of writing skills, they scored a 3.7 out of 5 points. They felt like writing skills were improved. This is something as an ACES team that we have talked about that we want to see improvement in, and we want to be better for our students in this, and we saw consistent growth across all the grade levels. In the reading skills, we saw students felt like they improved. They scored a 3.6 out of 5 on this. We saw gains in vocabulary and fluency. Vocabulary is another one of those topics that, as an ACES team, we wanted to target for some time now, and we feel that interreading would do a good job at breaching the gaps that we may have had in years past. And then in comprehension and understanding, students scored a 3.6 out of 5. Again, this was an average across all grade levels, but we feel as though that, generally speaking, the students felt like their comprehension and understanding was better as a result of using the 6-week pilot. Next slide, please. Some of the most helpful learning activities that were cited by the students. The reading main text and stories. So interreading was a little bit different from what we had done in the past, which is what we were looking for. Stories and the activities went hand in hand, as opposed to maybe some of the subjects being separated in years past, and students really enjoyed that. The whole class discussions, peer learning and discourse, was something that not only the students noted, but teachers noted were a really helpful piece of this resource. The small group activities, this goes back to the main reading. They all tied in together very well. They were personalized for differentiated support, and that offered a lot of value. And then the writing assignments. Again, I spoke earlier about how this is something that we wanted to target as an ACES team. We just felt as though the writing assignments helped build real-world skill building, and there was a nice focus on that. And then one more slide for me, please. Thank you. The skills that we saw most improved by students: vocabulary and fluency. Again, things that we want to target in just the short 6 weeks that we had the pilot. We felt as though we saw students gain in those areas. Understanding stories and being able to answer questions about what they read. This is an important skill in comprehension. We saw across all grade level students do much better than this. And then not only writing about reading, but answering the questions. And I populated on there twice for some reason. Sorry about that. But students were able to do these things better as a result of the pilot, and one of the many reasons we feel as though interreading is the best resource for the district. Lightning.
All right, next slide, please. I'm Beth Croft. I teach first grade, and I had the chance to pilot interreading. Sorry, I'm going to touch on the planning piece of interreading. This resource provides teachers with a clear and organized framework for delivering effective instruction. It's very streamlined and has an intuitive design, which makes planning for us very efficient. It was very easy to navigate, both for veteran and new and experienced teachers. There are very clear objectives for each module, each week, each lesson plan. It was very well planned out. It does provide editable, never say that word, editable lesson plans that promote consistency across grade levels. It does have materials that are very readily available to us, and the lessons were easy to navigate, which allows teachers to spend less time looking for those resources. We can spend more time with our data, providing feedback to the students, planning differentiated lessons. So that part was truly spectacular for the program. Next slide, please. Speaking of differentiation, another strength of the resource was its targeted lesson plans for each lesson. It provided detailed lesson plans with questioning strategies, extension activities, which helps us teachers differentiate our instruction without requiring extensive additional planning and preparation. They have read and respond journals, and it did provide meaningful practice and reinforcement of key skills, offering valuable support to our developing readers. They also have HMH readers, and this allows teachers to easily match students to those lexile levels, and that can provide appropriate challenging text for every single learner, ensuring access and growth for all students. Next slide, please. This resource is very cohesive. It has all components intentionally designed to work together to support instruction and student learning. It does support strong alignment across classrooms and grade levels, which is really neat to see. It has a very structured layout. It has something called class craft, which are slides that ensure greater consistency throughout the building. And in addition, all literacy components are intentionally aligned, allowing students to build their knowledge within and across all the activities with clear connections that support learning.
Hi, this is our Han. The reason why it's our Han is because there's two Mrs. Hans at the elementary school. We both teach kindergarten, so this is our Han. I am going to talk to you a little bit about the rigor. This resource is it's structured literacy, and it's also aligned with the science of reading. This resource uses explicit and systematic instruction in lots of key areas, from phonemic awareness, phonics, decoding, which is really, really important from the K through 2. Fluency, vocabulary, which we talked about, is a big need here, and also the text comprehension piece. The lessons are sequenced to build from very simple literacy skills to very complex literacy skills, and you can move fluently between them. Knowledge building through those complex texts. The students work with thematic text, which is nice. Kindergarten is a little bit different from, which is the reason why I wrote a letter and not a number, from the 1st through 5th. Our thematic units is a 4-week unit where 1st through 5th is 3. They tie in the science, the social studies, and the arts. And through this, they're expected to answer essential questions. They have to compare ideas across the text. They have to build that vocabulary. They have to engage in collaborative instructions when we do turn-in talks. So it's a lot of talking back and forth, and sometimes they might not get that information quite from me, but they'll get it from their peer, which is really important. And they need to be able to have that communication with each other. This also increases the cognitive demand beyond just the isolated skill practice, which is very, very important, and that's K through 5. The integrating reading, writing, speaking, and listening, the students are asked to respond to texts not just orally, but also in writing, maybe even in kindergarten and drawing, to start the year. And they learn really quickly how to cite their evidence, and they really did that even at the K level this year. They were able to cite evidence like no other. It was amazing. Again, participating in that turn talk, whether if it's whole class or in a small flexible group, they complete and they share different writing tasks with their peers, with the group, and also they use their thinking in order to enhance their communication skills. Next slide, please.
Hi, I am Delaney Lippiett. I just finished up actually my first year here in 2nd grade. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about assessments. So the first thing you're going to see are the types of assessments. So there's diagnostic, which is given in the beginning, middle, and end of the year, which can be given online, which is super cool because the teachers can then get that data back right away instead of having to go through and do it ourselves in kind of group. And then there's formative assessments, which they respond in their journals, like they said about the know it, show it, read and respond, that kind of thing. And then daily check-ins, which we just do with our students any time of the day. There's weekly assessments, which are given at the end of each week. So in second grade, their modules are 3 weeks. I'm not sure if it's the same in kindergarten, but I'm pretty sure it's the same in 1 to 5. And then they're tested on vocabulary, comprehension, foundational skills, grammar, and they have written responses as well. And then module assessments are given at the end of each module, and they are also tested on their reading comprehension. They have constructed responses, vocab, skills application, text evidence questions, and performance tests. So these can be given on paper, or they can also be given digitally. And as we move into, we're digital on PSSAs now, it's super helpful for these students to be able to practice, especially in second grade, because they'll have to do the PSSAs digitally as well in third grade. There are performance-based assessments, which are like projects or presentations that the students can do. I know one that my students did in second grade was a research project, so they had to go through and cite evidence in textbooks and stuff like that, which is not something you would normally see in a second grade classroom, so they're applying that skill then in future grades. And then there's writing assessments, there's narrative, opinion, informational, and then they respond to reading as well throughout the resource that we would be using. And then how will the data be used? This is where it comes into play. It's the most important. It monitors student learning. It guides instruction, which is why we are even doing it in the first place. It identifies strengths and weaknesses in your students, and then you can base your instruction off of that. It measures growth over time, supports differentiated instruction in those small group different things that you're going to be doing, and then it encourages student reflection and ownership. So as a teacher, I can meet with them in small group and kind of go over what they are doing and how I can help them and the things that they need. And then also at the end of class craft, which I think is really cool, something online, they can actually like rate themselves how they're feeling, and then it only shows the teacher. So now you have to realize some of the students might not be honest, but you'll be able to tell it yourself in your formative assessments as you're walking around the room. So, thank you.
It's me, I'm back again. Okay, so I am going to talk to you about the resources. First, I want to talk a little bit about the authentic, high-quality texts that the students get to engage in. My students just love the books. They loved them. They were super engaged. They wanted to hear it over and over again. You would think that reading a text more than one day, they would get bored, but they weren't. I mean, they wanted to know more, they wanted to learn more, they wanted to talk about it. The great part about this resource is that you're not just reading the text and doing comprehension, but it also integrates phonics connections into that text. It also integrates the grammar, which is something new, even at the kindergarten level. You know, we did very surface, but it went a little deeper than what I was expecting, which goes back to that rigor part that I was talking about, and even incorporates the writing with it. So when we were reading, Hooray for PB&J, they had to create a how-to to make something besides peanut butter and jelly. And some of them did like making s'mores and things like that, but they learned those words first, then next, finally, in a creative piece. So you heard them talk about a couple books that the children use as a resource. One is called the My Book, okay? And I'll tell you, as a kindergarten teacher, at first I was like, oh my gosh, how are they going to use these big books? Because it is a one-stop shop, it's one book, but wow, they impressed me. The My Book, all the students get their own individual copies, and this one is where they get to take notes into and respond to the text. So whatever comprehension skill that we're looking at, they respond to the text in it. It also has grammar in that book as well, where they take what I'm teaching them with the grammar with I do, you do, we do, or I did that backwards, but they do it in there. And it also has their graphic organizers for their writing, okay? Now let's talk about the Know It, Show It book. Love that book. My students love that book. They wanted to take it home with them. They thought it was great. They thought they were playing games, which is amazing for kindergarten. But that one is where your vocabulary, phonics, writing, and also has other comprehension things in it as well. A lot of decodables were in there for my kiddos, which again, going back to the rigor, going from the decodables that we were using in kindergarten, Through the wonders, I got the opportunity to compare the two in my class to the decodables that were for interreading. And did they ever meet that expectation? I wasn't sure, but they met it. This resource has very, very strong visual supports. They have vocabulary cards, letter cards, sound cards, beautiful anchor charts, and easy to read for students, and also high frequency word resources. Going back to the planning, the online planning, very, very easy. The first week was a little bumpy, but then after that, it was smooth sailing. Everything is there at our fingertips. If we needed a material, it was a hyperlink right there online. It would take me right to the anchor chart that I needed. That way I wasn't fumbling around and trying to search for it. Planning time is something very sacred, and the less time that I have to plan, the more time I get to develop my craft and do what I need for my students. And the last thing I want to talk a little bit about is Coachly. I know that I dabbled in it a little bit. Some others have used it a lot, and it was really nice to have, especially if it was like the first year, because when you have questions and none of your peers really know the answer yet because we're all new to it, that person was there to answer those questions. So when I had questions about level texts versus the decodable text, because there was multiple decodable texts in kindergarten, they were there to answer my questions right away. So those are the resources that are in this resource. Next one. You're back. I'm
going to touch upon the writing piece of interreading. It was very engaging and age appropriate, helping students stay motivated across lessons. They experienced a variety of genres. Personally, we got to do poetry. My kids were super excited about that, and it was about our module was based off of nature. They loved it. We got to go on a nature walk. I mean, first-hand experience. They collected a little journal. It was really neat to see them become creative writers versus, those formulaic writing that sometimes we get in the mix and stuck in. The program does promote critical thinking by encouraging creative outside-the-box responses rather than that formulaic writing. It's closely connected to reading through reciprocal learning, aligning with module text and mentor text to strengthen understanding. So we got to read all about different poetry, different forms of, one kid wrote a beautiful sinking, sorry, I had to think it up. It was neat to see them be able to do that. The Know It, Show It workbook that Rachel mentioned supports students. It had the graphic organizers, planning tools, there was goal setting in there, word banks that were tied to read alouds, helping them organize and improve their writing. Next slide, please. The writing process, it does take them through that also. It uses a detailed, explicit approach, and it helps break down each step clearly. The students are guided through the process a little bit each day, so it's not overbearing, helping them build strong habits over time. Student support is built in through those graphic organizers, like I mentioned, mentor texts, that helps them understand and apply those writing skills. There are rubrics that provide clear expectations for student reference. It does offer opportunities for peer conferencing to give meaningful feedback to each other, which they love to do that too. So that's it for me.
Hello, I'm Regina Biddle, and I'm only up here one time, thankfully. I'm basically here to talk about digital, which is a very good resource and a good tool that basically ties a lot of what they have talked about all together. An additional tool for interreading is a digital component. Traditional instruction, let me catch my breath before I start, sorry. Traditional instructional strategies between teachers and students are usually 80% classroom and 20% digital. Time for in the classroom. Technology in the classroom enhances learning through tools, platforms, and blended learning. This appeals to modern educational values and differentiates the program. Interreading provides a variety of efficient and enriching digital tools for the classroom. So these are some of the tools for the students. The MyBook, which they had already talked about. For the digital platform, the teacher is able to go to a screen and project the MyBook and be able to annotate and write and work with the students as they're working on their books as well. So she can write on it and work with them as they're working along. show the stories and the text as they're working, which is very, very useful. So she can work with them. Another resource is the Foundational Skills Practice, which is a digital start readers and decodable text that allows students to practice phonics and high-frequency words at their own pace. The last student tool is Waggle, which is an adaptive, gamified practice platform designed to reinforce core skills and accelerate literacy mastery. Next slide, please. Thank you. The teacher components or resources for reading include the Digital Teacher's Guide. This efficient school contains the daily lesson plans, the Week at a Glance with pacing tools, printable graphic organizers, and embedded anchor charts. It includes ready-made lesson slides for phonics and other components. The Get Curious videos, which are basically introductory unit videos that sets the background knowledge for the modules. The Groupinator, which is a useful tool when you're using those assessments that you can use to group your students together for small groups for planning based on their scores and their outcomes. When you're giving those assessments, the assessments are broken down by skills. It then takes those scores and groups them out based on the needs by, say, vocabulary, comprehension, yes, and breaks them up by those needs, okay? Assessment and reporting dashboard. The digital tool allows educators to track progress across weekly tests and benchmark assessments with tech-enhanced questioning. The HMH readers, which Beth talked about, are available digitally for classroom display. So while you work in a small group or whole group, you can project those readers to have students reading with you or refer to them as you're teaching them. The Robust Teacher's Corner provides how-to videos, interventionist lessons, and support materials, which are very useful for the teacher. And lastly, and most important, is all of these things can be logged on through Clever, for the teacher and for the students. So they're all loaded right into Clever, which is a tool that we use every day in our classrooms already. So we just log right into Clever, and they are there at our fingertips. Thank you.
Hi, second grade, fourth grade, upper grades. So I'm here to present you with some student work that we put together. After our 6-week pilot, I had each teacher send me some student work samples from their My Books, their Noah Show It journals, everything that they felt was important for you to see. But primarily, we tried to focus on those important components of structured literacy because I wanted you to see what all this resource had to offer, because it has a lot. So in your binder, you are going to see that it is divided up by grade level, and in each grade level, you are going to see examples of the different components of structured literacy. You are going to see things with phonics, vocabulary, grammar, comprehension, spelling, text-based written responses, writing samples, and assessments from each grade level. We purposely put the assessments in there because we wanted you to see just how rigorous they are, even starting with kindergarten and first grade. Why? Because as an upper grade teacher, our focus is always those upcoming PSSAs. So we want to make sure that whatever resource we get highly matches the rigor of the Common Core State Standards. And this program alone matches that rigor beautifully. The texts are complex. The standards spiral over and over again, so it goes from being a little bit easier to getting strategically harder as the kids see them over and over again. They're digging deeper and deeper as they collaborate with each other, and that's what the Common Core State Standards require. So not only does it fit the structured literacy components that we want, it also matches the Common Core State Standards, which is what we also want. You will see things from the My Book, and you will see things from the Know It, Show It in there as well, so that you could see those. As an upper grade teacher, sometimes it is hard to hold the attention of our older students. By having that My Book with the stories right in front of our students, we are able to have them actually annotate in the text. This is a crucial skill for our readers because they need to learn how to do that. They can't do it on their own, so we're able to model for them
and actually show them how to pick out those best details. And then they can write all over it, and they actually pay attention better by having it in there. So those are all crucial skills that they're learning through this resource. So the key strengths regarding the work in the Into Reading resource provides our students. The students get to reread, annotate, underline, and highlight in their workbooks while collaborating with their peers, all of which involve multi-sensory pathways, because we know that we want them to have multimodal means of work. Students at all levels are learning phonics skills through robust phonics approaches or orthographic mapping. And normally you don't see that in the higher grades, but through this program, it happens all the time, repeatedly. Teachers have the opportunity to use either Classcraft, whiteboards, graphic organizers, or other means to teach this. So you don't have to do the same thing every day. Again, in your student work binder, you will see that there are great examples of the items from all of the different things. I couldn't show you everything that was offered online because I couldn't print it all out, but I do have one strategic example from the upper level grades for you to see. But everything is led through the I do, we do, and you do process, which is so important to the learning of our students. Okay, next slide. So this is an example because, as we know, phonics is so important even in the upper grades, especially as part of structured literacy. It was not something I could print out or copy, so I did take some pictures of one of the word study lessons. It starts out every time with a basic phonics skill like we have here with the owl. So they go through and they teach all the different simple phonics. Then it goes through and the teacher will read with the students. This is not all of the slides. It's a 20-minute lesson every other day. So I couldn't do all the slides with just a couple. Then they'll go through, the teacher and students will read the words together. Then it leads into your prefixes, suffixes, roots, which is more of a 4th grade standard skill. So you start out with your prefix, and then you add it with your root. Then it gets to a part where you are then taking different word parts and making new words. And at this part, you could have them do it with you on a digital means, or you could actually do whiteboards, or there are actual orthographic maps, blocks that you could do. Finally, at the end of every one of these lessons, there is a multiple choice 2-question quick check. That if you do it digitally, those 2 questions, which is good for us at the upper grade PSSA practice, and it's a wonderful exit ticket, that goes directly to your computer while you're teaching to see who got it and who didn't, so that you can then reassess what you need to teach next time. So again, if you have any questions, you can let me know then about the resources. But there's a good sampling of everything that we did.
Okay, so you see me again, so that means we're at the closure, right? So really, I just want to do a quick shout out for the teachers that weren't here, just so you're aware who was on the committee. Erin Hahn, Jen Myers, Heather Fowler, Jay Gross, Sherry Lynn Allen, Courtney Vaughn, Sarah Staub, Tara Wood, and Christy Snyder. So again, well representation along with the outstanding group that's behind me here for that. Really, it's a plethora of information. As you can tell by the team, we're committed to this. We vetted it, we believe in it, and we're asking you next week to vote to approve this as our new ELA resource starting with our 26-27 school year for our students and our staff. So we'll field questions if there's anyone that has any questions.
So one of my big issues is spelling. Is spelling a big part of this?
It's integrated with the phonics.
It's the phonics.
The phonics teaches those patterns, and then they use those in the graphing and things like that. So yes.
I gave my students a spelling test at the end of each, there's 5 days, and then we went on a 6-day cycle. So on day 6, we would do our assessments. So at the end of each, on day 6, we would do a spelling assessment.
And you'll see a sample of that in the second grade.
And then you mentioned it helped with the PSSA identifying things. So doing this pilot didn't interfere with the whole PSSA process, or
no, I
being the end of school and all that? Or?
No, it didn't interfere with the process. Obviously, we were doing something different with that particular group. But as what they chose to do is they targeted the modules to be somewhat in comparison to what they normally would be teaching at that time of the year. I mean, it's not a perfect alignment, but it was as close as we could get.
I mean, I didn't know we normally test things at the end of the school year, but I don't know if that's a good time to test things, but.
Do we all have the same book, the same information?
Yes.
The handwriting is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I'm impressed. Even from like the kindergarten level, like, oh my word, I can read it and I know what they're saying.
And it's actually taught, like handwriting is taught, I mean,
Yes,
in kindergarten
explicitly.
and
We teach it in
second grade,
kindergarten.
so, I mean, it's all the way up.
Yes. And then I saw in fifth grade, there was a letter that they typed that up, like, oh my word.
We
That's something
started that a couple of
fantastic.
years ago, when we started going online with the SSAs. We started really teaching them to type and doing stuff. We use some written responses by handwriting, and then we do some type so that they're prepared for both.
I just want to go back to, I don't know if you'll remember, a few months ago, Joey and I had done some walkthroughs through the classrooms when they were doing into reading, and I had written down a couple comments from the students in each of the classrooms that we went to. And it's just so exciting to hear what those kids told us in the classroom. They're like, it's challenging, but it's good. And so like when you hear them talk about the rigor, I don't remember who said it, Rachel or Beth, about the consistency, like just seeing that consistency from classroom to classroom. And the kids were like so engaged with it. If you'll remember back to another survey that Mr. Moran gave on mystery science, the kids were not that thrilled about writing, if you'll remember that survey. This one is different. Like the kids are, like they're reading about it, they're learning about it, they're writing about it, so it's connected. Sometimes we get ourselves into trouble. We teach the skills kind of in isolation, so when we were going through this and we saw how they spiraled and they weren't just, oh, we taught that in September and, you know, now we're done with it. We keep spiraling it. And so that was really good to see. You guys did a really nice job. I wrote some notes down of things, but you pretty much nailed it. You said everything you needed to. The kids liked the program. They were behind it. I would sit in on some of their meetings, their weekly meetings when they were planning and working through it, and some of the coachly sessions. And this is like the low-hanging fruit of this, but when they talk about, for me, I say low-hanging, and you guys, I know it's probably a little higher, but the planning aspect, if they're not spending 5 to 10 hours a week on the planning, and then they can use that time instead for the data and the differentiation and honing their craft and reaching the kids they need to, like, that speaks volumes, because right now you're putting them in front of the kids instead of having to worry about the planning time on top of the time they're with their kids.
I have one more question, and this might not be popular. When they rated you and you got like 3.6 average and 3.9, what do you think brought that? I mean, that's kind of average, but what do you think brought that down? Is it because it was difficult for them, or?
I think it was because it was new to them. For a lot of them, it was something they hadn't experienced before. It was out of their normal routine, where they were used to, you know, having just read aloud and then discussing. This was ultimately more challenging for them.
So it wasn't like that they thought, I can't do this.
No.
It was just different.
It was just different, and it was only 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So, like, we did it for 6 weeks, and then they went back to their normal routine.
Well, it's good to check.
And some kids love the challenge. I teach primarily lower students, and my lower students loved it.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, we don't want to stop, we just want to keep going, whereas my higher kids surprisingly were like, we're ready to go back, you know, because they're just like, they didn't like that they didn't know everything all the time. But they were the ones, you know, that really need the challenge.
Right.
But it was more of that different, like, I'm not used to this is going to be uncomfortable.
Well, that's a good result.
I also think, so you're asking 8 to 11-year-olds to appreciate learning.
Right.
Which I don't know how many of you at 8 to 11 years old appreciated your learning, but to say that we had at least 60% of the students appreciating that they were trying something new and that it was hard, I think speaks volumes. And you know, you're going to have students that don't necessarily appreciate that at 8 to 11 years old, but I think to say that we had at least 60% were able to say that they appreciated that speaks volumes of their students.
So when asked, they would say, yes, it did help me a whole lot, but I still would just rather go back. you know, if they would admit it helped them, but.
And even like, I know like the survey was for the older grades, but even in second grade, I've told a few of them about this, but I had one of my students and she just raised her hand in the middle of the lesson and she was like, I feel like I'm actually learning something. And I was just like, okay, so does that mean like, but it was just like, it wasn't that I never taught her anything. I know that, but it was just like, we were moving and moving and moving. And like, there was just, I would be like, okay, go get out your My Book, and they'd go get it, bring it to the carpet, and then it's like, 10 minutes later, go get out your Know It, Show It. It wasn't sit for 40 minutes on the carpet, listen to me read a book, then we're going to talk about it, then we're going to write in this graphic organizer that, you know, you don't really care much about, but like, I feel like I could make it more engaging, and I don't know, just seeing them get excited about writing, especially because I couldn't get them to write and actually want to write in the beginning of the school year, and then we did a whole how-to as well, just like kindergarten. And then my kids were writing how-tos on everything and then wanted to share it at the end of the day. And then I had a whole like writing group and we would go at the end of the day and they'd share their writings about different things. So I don't know, it just, coming from another district where I used the other resource that we were piloting to this one where we didn't have a resource at all. And then I got to pilot the resource that we would like to use. It gave me a new perspective on all kinds of things. And being a new teacher, just kind of diving into all those little pieces there, it's really cool, and to be able to hopefully have this resource, I'm just really excited.
So it's challenging, but they still have good comprehension.
Oh yeah.
And it's personal level, like I have a student that is here in the elementary school, and I wish that he was coming into kindergarten, like if we would have adopt this resource, that he was coming into kindergarten. I think that this resource would have helped him in his reading and his decoding and things that the holes that we were missing. Not saying that we weren't doing a good job, but there were holes, and I'm just, all these kids, they just deserve it. They truly do. This is a phenomenal resource, and I'm an alumni here a long time ago. I've been around the block. I've taught lots of different things. I was in Harrisburg. This is a really solid resource.
So the kids that didn't start this resource in kindergarten, it's not going to be too hard for them to pick it up then?
I don't think so. I mean, even when, okay, so I'm going to give you an example. They are going to achieve what you expect them to. In my classroom, with having equity, we had the Wonders phonics with it, because we had to have some type of phonics. And then when we got this, and I tried to align it the best, with Mr. Moran said, the best possible to what I was already teaching, it was much higher. And I was really, really nervous because it was already teaching them long vowel pattern and things that I have not even shown them yet. And so I did a real quick, like, we've got to get these in so they're not dragging behind. And they rose to the occasion and then some, and it shows. It shows in my iReady scores, it shows in my reading, it shows in the writing, and it just, they truly blew me away this year. And to have little faces look at me and go, oh, I am a reader. Yeah, you are a reader. You know, so not saying that in the past what we've done is wrong, but I just think that this resource will fill the gaps that we have been missing.
I think as long as we focus on the growth mindset and the perseverance, I mean, us at the higher level, obviously, they have been out a bit longer. We had a little bit more of a struggle getting them motivated to start, but they did it, and we didn't start at the beginning. We were starting, towards the end units, and we were still successful. So I think it'll be fine. It's just obviously it's going to be a little bit of that implementation struggle, and as with anything new, but it's not something that most of us we've done things before like this, and it's worked out fine. It's just how you.
I think it's also important to note that they'll be starting it in August, not in March. And when the expectation is set in August, come March, it's already the expectation. By September, it's the expectation because you've been doing it for a month and a half. So I think given the opportunity to start at the beginning of the year will greatly help us.
I think coming in and starting fresh with it,
yes,
and the resource comes with all these great things to start them with and prepare them and teach them strategies and all that stuff. And I think as we prepare them for that, it'll just move in rather easily. And purposefully start, if we start at the beginning, it's not gonna start as complex as where we started with some of our units.
So you can tell the passion is there from the staff. They're eager, they're ready, we're ready, so really set the ball your way. So it's now up to you guys to decide to make that decision to help support what we're asking, and we're asking you to do that next week.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay?
Is everyone on the board in favor of moving this forward to the regular meeting agenda?
Yes.
No? Donna?
We're not voting on tonight, right? No, we're just gonna
This
put
is
it
just
on
a
the agenda.
move on.
You can put it in the agenda.
Jeannie? Wayne?
Give me a question.
Steve? Hallie?
Thank you for taking the time and putting these together for us. This is great. I'm hoping that I said that I'm impressed. And I can see your passion and excitement, and knowing most of you over there, it's great to see that you guys really are appreciating this resource and it's getting what we need for our learners, for our students, and they can build on it throughout K through 5. So, thank you.
Thank you all so much for being here this evening and presenting, and it's very exciting hearing about the things that our kids are doing and learning, and so thank you all so much for doing what you do to help our district in our elementary school, and for bearing with us through a board meeting. So thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your evening. I'm going to let Mrs. Moran let you go, because our last meeting, I don't think as long as when you want to stay. So, Mr. Alessandro, you want to go right into athletics?
Well, good evening. As we close the 25-26 school year, I'd like to take a moment to provide a final update on our spring athletic season and reflect on another successful year for Littlestown athletics. During the spring season, as Ms. Resler said, our girls softball team continued its outstanding tradition of excellence. After qualifying for the PIAA state tournament, the Lady Thunderbolts advanced to the first round of state competition, where they faced a very talented Pine Grove team. Although their season came to an end in that contest, Pine Grove would ultimately go on to capture its second consecutive PIAA state championship. So we lost to the now second year in a row reigning state champs. And I can give you that was a great game. We lost on a walk-off at the end of the game in the bottom of the 7th inning. Dr. Becker and I were standing there, and Mr. Preetz, and we all thought we were going to extra innings, and it was a crazy play, but that's a story for another evening. We are incredibly proud of our student athletes, coaches, and the entire softball program for representing Littlestown with class, determination, and pride throughout the season. As reported during our May board meeting, all other spring sports season had concluded prior to that update. At that time, summaries and accomplishments for baseball, boys tennis, track and field, and the remainder of our spring programs were provided. We remain proud of the efforts, growth, and achievements demonstrated by all of our student athletes throughout the spring season. Looking back on 25-26 school year as a whole, we have much to celebrate. Our student athletes competed with passion, represented our school and community with integrity, and achieved success both in the classroom and on the field. Their commitment to excellence reflects the values that make Littlestown such a special place. On behalf of the athletic department, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to the Board of Education for its continued support of our athletic programs. Your commitment to providing opportunities and resources for our students plays a critical role in our success. I'd also like to thank our district leadership team, administrators, teachers, coaches, athletic trainer, support staff, event workers, booster organizations, volunteers, fans, and community members. It is a collective effort to make our sports teams and our overall athletic program successful. The success of our programs is truly a team effort, and we are fortunate to have so many individuals who invest their time, energy, and resources into supporting our student athletes. Most importantly, we would like to thank our student athletes. They continue to make us proud through their hard work, their dedication, their sportsmanship, and commitment to representing Littlestown High School in a positive manner. We are fortunate to have such outstanding young people participating in our programs. While another school year is coming to a close, preparations for the 2026 fall season are already underway. Our fall Meet the Coaches night is scheduled for August 5th at 6 o'clock in the high school auditorium. Football heat acclimatization begins on August 10th, and the first official day of fall sports practices is August 17th. Before we know it, the excitement of fall athletics will be upon us. However, before that time arrives, we encourage all of our student athletes and families to take advantage of the summer months. Enjoy time together, recharge, stay active and in shape, and return refreshed and ready for another successful year. Thank you once again for your continued support of Littlestown Athletics through the 25-26 school year. We look forward to building upon this year's successes and continue to provide exceptional opportunities for our student athletes in the year ahead. Thank you so much and have a wonderful summer. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Alessandro. Dr. Fiaschi.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, all. So, 6 years ago, we surveyed our Littlestown staff about the biggest barriers that interfering with their ability to teach and our students' ability to learn. The results were clear. They said behavior, anxiety, depression, and family issues topped those list of concerns. As a district, we looked at this feedback seriously, and we didn't just look at the data, we all took action and figured out a sustainable way to truly support our teachers and give them the resources they need. So what I want to share with you is the number of students that our teachers were able to get support from our behavior specialists and our mental health therapists. So this year, our elementary behavior specialist has 58 students on her caseload. She was able to work with 58 students with behavior concerns, students in the autism class. She parked a lot of time down in that area, the intensive learning support classroom, functional behavioral assessments, writing positive behavior plans, and working with the teachers to find different strategies to help students in the classroom. So at the high school, our secondary behavior specialist, and we always want them to get better as we go up, she worked with 30 students, the same process, in the classroom with the teachers, parking in those classrooms on a daily basis, supporting students, providing strategies, writing plans, the whole 9 yards. So along with that, our students in our autism classroom, our emotional support classrooms, and our intensive learning support classrooms, which is 8 of them, 2 times per month per their IEP, they're to get social skills groups. So those behavior specialists go in the classrooms and provide social skills groups to those groups of students to help develop those skills needed to be successful in school and out of school. So also, our mental health therapist this year worked with 65 total students. And she was able to dismiss 29 students, and by the end of this year, her final number at the end of this year, she's currently working with 36 students. And there's students coming over the summer to work with her also. Along with that, our school psychologists have been very busy this year. They have completed and are still doing evaluations over the summer. So far they've completed 66 school education evaluations. And so what that looked like is 4 of those students did not qualify. 17 students qualified under what we call other health impairments, which those are students that might have chronic health issues, such as ADHD, diabetes. 13 students were identified with autism, 17 specific learning disability, 12 emotional disturbance, 1 multiple disabilities, 1 brain injuries, and another one was intellectually delayed. So we run the gamut of students that we're supporting here at Littlestown, and thank you for supporting our programs, that we can support our students and support our teachers to be able to teach the students, and so they can focus on instruction. Are there any questions?
I have a question. Carolyn, would it be too much work for you when you do these presentations to give like a sheet with all that on there to us?
I was just gonna ask.
Sure, I can put this in some kind of.
It'd be great because I was trying to write down all your figures, like, and you were going boom, boom, and yeah. If you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, we could send that out to you.
Thanks, thank you.
Yeah.
So you said 6 years ago you surveyed what they needed. That was literally at the beginning of COVID. So that was to find out what they needed during COVID, right?
No, not necessarily, because all this came about before COVID. It's just COVID happened, and then the money came, and we were able to support the teachers' needs in this fashion. So it wasn't because of COVID. This was because if I go back, oh my goodness, 10, 12 years ago, when we started the program, the need was there. So it wasn't just right after COVID, like COVID taught.
Well, I mean, ESSER's funds came because of COVID to help kids get through that. So you're saying nothing's improved. I'm not saying they're not doing a job. I'm saying nothing's improving. We still need. What you're saying is we still need.
Sure, because there's still behaviors, there's still anxiety, there's still depression, there's still a lot of family concerns our students are coming with, a lot of poverty in our area. This area is known for a lot of families with one parents who have died for some reason. This where we live, we're one single parent families because of death. So it is an area where students are seeing a lot and going through a lot of concerns. So the need is still there.
Any other questions from Dr.
Bayless? I was trying to take notes as fast as it was a great presentation. A lot of really good information, so thank you for that. I appreciate that a lot. You said that we had 8 students in autism, between autism, emotional support, and there was one other that you spoke about, and I didn't get that.
So 12 students were identified with autism, is that what you're asking?
You were going down the list, 58 students at the elementary behavior specialist.
Oh, your
30
behavior
for the
specialist.
Right, 30 for the high school secondary behavior specialist, and then 8, and you said for the autism, emotional support, and then there was one other group.
That's the intensive learning support students.
Yes.
Those are students who are considered supplemental because the majority of their math and reading instruction is in a learning support classroom. They don't run into regular for learning in math. And
got it. Thank you.
Other areas.
Thank you for that.
Any other questions?
Just, I'm going to ask you, I don't know if you can answer this now, but I can ask it. Is the other districts, do you know, struggling with the same issues that we are, that they need the same support that we have?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, other districts, so I know Kanawha is looking for a behavior specialist. They have, True North might come in, or I think Red Lion has a mental health clinic in their buildings that do that. So it's out there, yes.
Thank you.
And another thing I want to share, just totally different, is so I've been around a long time, in this district a long time, so I've seen a lot of things. So hearing this presentation for the reading program it's very good for us. It's good teaching strategies. I'm an elementary person, so hearing the things that they're doing is just good reading instruction. So it's pleased to see that, and being on the other side of special ed and seeing evaluations and where students do have gaps, this is going to help support starting at kindergarten, so we have less students needing my services. Because we don't want more students in special ed, we want less. So the reading program is very good. That's all.
Any other questions?
We'll test that theory.
All right, thank you, Dr. Piasky. Dr. Miller.
Good evening. Just to give you a highlight of what the tech department's been working on the last week, as well as what's on the plate this week. A little different report for you guys, but this is just about what we do in this time of the year from a technology standpoint. Last week it was the process of taking all the 9th grade and senior iPads, making sure that all the data is wiped from them. The MDM, that's the mobile device management systems, wiped from them and prepared then to go out to a reseller, which is boxed and ready for pickup tomorrow. Today started new iPad enrollment, so that's new iPads the board approved for kindergarten, 3rd grade, as well as a refresh with regards to 6th grade and 10th grade students. So that's where we are right now with 500 plus devices, enrolling those devices and getting them prepared so that they can be handed out to students in August from a secondary standpoint, or coming down here next month with the carts in the classroom and preparing those carts after the elementary admin team has decided where those kiddos will nest from a homeroom standpoint and have those devices ready to go for those students when they arrive at the start of the year in their classrooms. Another project we're working on is with Gettle and their project manager and scheduling the ACES cameras. We had a meeting with them last week, so that's going to be on the calendar as well here, upcoming here, the month of June. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Miller. Any questions? Ms. Bayless.
We did hear from an individual in regards to purchasing a used, I believe it was an iPad that was still locked in our system, locked with our system. Was anyone able to help that person?
I believe we were able to help that. When you say purchase, though, that would be something that we would have to.
Well, they didn't purchase it from us, but
On eBay or something.
apparently it was one of our pieces of equipment that locked with our system.
Yes. Yeah, we were able to
You were able to help
release
that?
Yep.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions? Thank you, Dr. Miller. Dr. Berryman.
So you've heard everybody pretty much report on how they're closing out the school year and then starting into the next school year. We started today as an admin team with our summer retreat. We did 4 hours this morning on AI, really focusing on the adult Google AI tools that we can use for more efficiencies and effectiveness in each of our roles. And then for some people, just exploring what does that look like in my role, like in transportation or the business office, just some of the tools that they could use. So we had somebody come in from the IU that was a great presentation, gave us a lot of real world examples that we can use. Then we spent the afternoon really just starting high level of thinking about what our goals are going to be for next year. So we're closing out our goals for this year and starting to think about, okay, where do we want to move for next year? So we did some high level, just thinking about that and brainstorming. Tomorrow morning, we are leaving here bright and early at 6:30. Don't anybody be late for the bus. We are going to the War College. We'll be spending the day up there doing leadership enhancement. We'll have a tour while we're up there. Then we're going to do some team building activities, and then we should arrive back here tomorrow night, 6:37, something like that. And then on Wednesday, Eric is going to lead us through some safety topics, just getting the whole team up to date on some of the safety topics that maybe we have some gaps in. So that's going to round out our retreat. And then throughout the summer months, we'll continue working on our goals and what our vision is for next year. That's fine.
Any questions for Dr. Berryman? Thank you very much. Mr. Shoemaker.
All right, so my update's mostly going to recap what the last long FPS committee.
Please don't.
So it's going to be a brief update just to remind the full board of what was decided at the FPS and what was still left to be decided, hopefully for discussion tonight. So just a brief update. So we did talk a lot about athletics. So girls wrestling was decided to be a district cost. Boys and girls lacrosse would move forward as a pay-to-play model. And the high jump pit and uniform cycle are within the budget for next year. And then for staffing, we did reduce that one LPN position, and we added, this was a long time ago, they added that elementary autistic support classroom for one teacher, one teaching assistant. Two items that we still need to address is the transportation, which I have updated information. For Laura, she was able to hear back from Christ. So obviously we had the request to add additional route, which was that 68,000 we talked about last meeting. In addition to that, we're looking at options through a monitor option. So one through Christ and one through internal. So from a Christ standpoint, that's going to be higher than the additional route. So if we looked at 3 monitors to address those 3 buses, It's $144.82 per day. So through those 3 monitors, through the 175 days, that's over $76,000. So that's more than the regular transportation route. If we look at internal monitors, that looks like around just shy of $5,000 for typical routes, around 2 hours. We focus just on elementary. I think that's the start of the focus. Would just be on elementary to start with, and then if it needs to be secondary, that was kind of the discussion. That'd be about $5,000 or just shy of $15,000 to re-monitor internally on those buses, if that's an option the board wants to look at. So those are some of the numbers. Just from context, I did talk to Laura. She was saying she wanted to inform the board that they did trial run monitors on one of the buses through Christ. There was no cost to the district. The Christ needed to see if they could support their bus driver. The monitor did help on that bus, and shortly after the monitor left, some of the issues re-arose. So we would look at a full year monitoring system. So I think there's questions about whether we do it for a short term, correct the behavior, to correct the problems, and then take it away. I think we kind of trial run that this year, and we're not necessarily thinking that's going to be a solution for next year. So that's just to hear about the financials about that. And then obviously tonight the discussion about a real estate tax increase between 0% and 2%. And you'll see on the agenda when we get to it that there's an option A and an option B. The hope is tonight to be able to go through one option for a full board to select, if possible. If not, then we will move forward with an option A and option B for next week for the board to vote on. And that concludes my report.
Did I hear wrong? Did you say the autism room with 1 teacher and 1 teaching
No,
assistant?
2 teaching
Okay,
assistants.
I thought I heard
If I said that, I misspoke. Yes.
Okay.
So 1 teacher, 2 teaching assistants. Yes.
Any questions for Tom?
Tom, can you clarify this, please, on the transportation? You said 144.82 times 176 days. Was that for 3 of them?
Yes, for 3 buses, 175 days, and $144.82 per day. 3 of the buses we were looking to address through the one group. If you remember, we were trying to move students from 3 buses across.
Oh, you're saying instead of doing the 1 group, we did 3
monitors to address the.
I thought the 3 buses included middle school, high school.
No, so they would be.
All right.
I remember there's several in elementary we would look to address. So there's 3 that are high capacity that would be the ones we would look to target.
And on the internal, what was the total figure for that? How many buses?
5,000 per bus.
Yeah,
5,000 per
just
bus.
shy.
Is that per year?
So that would be for the whole year for 175.
So that's be $15,000 total. Obviously, a whole lot less than.
Correct.
Right.
So just some of the struggle is then being able to hire people internally for those positions.
And you had stated that it worked really well, according to Laura Mays.
So it works while the monitors are on there. The request is to have a full year monitor. I think last time there's comments that maybe we just do it for a couple weeks to correct behaviors, and we can kind of reduce those monitors. During that trial run, when we removed those behaviors re-arose, so we would request to do a full year, at least this upcoming year, and then we can strategize moving forward how we can address that in subsequent years.
And this would be limited to 3 buses, so it'd be 3 routes. Are we gonna be okay with the rest of the routes?
So right now we're just that's just kind of the request. We have those 3 options. We can do a regular transportation route. That would be a more breaking it up in holistic view. Price transportation, I think the monitoring, I think that doesn't make financial sense. We brought those numbers, and then internally, we can look at that as a short-term fix to then mitigate it from a long-term perspective, maybe next year.
There were just 3 because they were the fullest buses.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we would look at just elementary. If we were looking at a secondary, that cost would increase or double, or we would double the amount that the people would ride on those buses.
And Jeannie, to my point, I was just making sure that if we did 3 buses, we wouldn't have to be doing 3, 4 more.
Right.
That's why I was asking. To make sure if we did set that was our decision, that we weren't going to have to go into 3 or 4 more buses beyond that.
So we'll have that discussion as the year progresses, but right now I think 3 is what we're looking to address.
Very good. Thanks, Tom.
And thank you for getting, and to Laura even for getting the information. That was quick.
Thank you, Mr. Schubert. All right, we're going to jump into the review of next week's agenda. Go ahead, Steve, the finance.
Okay, so we've had a couple of long committee meetings. So I'm pretty much just gonna put it out there. Does anybody have any questions on A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J? And bring it up because we've got a lot of information, we've got a lot of time to process things, we've got a lot of discussion, and we should be able to relatively move through this pretty quickly.
Yeah, there's a couple big ticket things that we'll go through. We'll start with Saxon and Stump. You're A on the list. Do you want to say anything about your terms of engagement?
Yeah, it's same terms, slight increase to the rates. These are the same rates that have gone to all of our clients. So I think it's about a 3.5% rate, but otherwise the overall structure remains the same. And we're happy to continue to serve the district.
I think that we're a lot more special than all of your other clients. So I think there's something out of that. So
that's different.
Any questions for Dave?
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily for Dave, but I mean, Dave, you're here at our work sessions, but I would like to see us to have a solicitor at our work sessions and at least our regular sessions. I think that we really need to have somebody here for the meetings. I've said this several times, but I would like to see it. I know it costs us more money, but I would like to see Dave twice a month, not just once, if able. Or if not, maybe you could send an associate.
Sure, I mean, that's entirely.
That's something we as a board would have to vote on.
I'm not in the business of putting myself out of business, but I do recognize the cost for that, and sometimes it's not a necessary cost. So, but if you guys want, we can figure out what that looks like. That's entirely up to you guys.
Can I ask why?
I just think it's important that he's here for discussions that are needed, questions.
So that would double our fee.
Sure. I think it's imperative. I think it's important.
3% higher.
Maybe he'll give us a bulk discount. It comes twice a month instead of once.
Doesn't hurt to ask.
All right.
I also, I don't know, are we going down through each item?
Yeah, I'm going to go through the next one. So, the ACTI purchase, there was a little bit of an update provided. Sean Eckenrode had sent these documents out a little while ago. Now's a good time to ask any questions. Steve's the JFC chair, so are there any questions about the land purchase that's on the agenda?
Did they look at the hack building that they're moving out of right there?
The GOC in the past has looked at that, and it has a lot of environmental and wetland issues that make it not possible to pursue that site.
Is that why hack's leaving?
Sorry?
Is that why hack is moving out of that building?
I don't know why. I just know why the JOC did not consider that building after all the information came to us.
Were they never? I don't know if they're considering it if they were considering it to build onto it, or were they just considering moving into the existing?
It's too much work to get it to where it would be what we need, and the money would be spent better in another project. I mean, I came into the JOC and some decisions were already pretty much made from the last board, but they looked at it. I mean, write up your questions, and I'll send them to Sean until the end of this month if he retires, Tony, and we could recap everything that the JOC did. I believe it's on their minutes. You can look at too.
Yeah, that would probably be good in terms of questions. If questions come up throughout the week, send them to Steve, and they get them to Sean, and if needed, Steve will present those before the vote on Monday.
So Tuesday night, Al had mentioned that the plan is to get the land, build this building, and then just the current 7 programs be in there for a while. Is that something that you're discussing?
There's a lot of open discussion about once the land is secure, and then you know exactly what your building site's going to look like, and then you're going to look at the size of your programs. There's talk about programs that are existing in the existing Gettysburg site, and alternate programs. It's very fluid right now. And please, give me your questions, and I will send it to the board leadership or the admin, and get that in, get those discussions
So
going.
you don't know if it's that they're gonna build this building and then
At this
it'll, for a
time-
while, it'll be the.
At this
just
time,
current-
our main focus is concentrating on the land. Because there's a lot of grant money that's supposedly going to be coming with grant money with the land. And the land is already can be purchased by all the districts, and we're not going into debt. There's no debt service to that. We've already raised the money for it through the participating districts.
I know that Sean has come before, and there hasn't been as much questioning as there really wasn't anything on the table. It was just kind of the same updates that we heard multiple times. Would it be helpful if we asked the admin or Steve to reach out to Sean to see if he can be present on Monday to answer any questions?
Or Steve could just answer a question.
But if we do that, then it's going to require you guys are going to have to make sure that we diligently send questions before Monday.
Thank you.
Well, I just asked my questions, I don't have to send them. He knows.
All right, anything else on the ACTI purchase? All right, C is approval of the budget. We have two options listed, as Tom had stated. Now would probably be a good time to go through, Tom, the ins and outs. So let's talk about the transportation. First of all, let's talk about probably easier just to talk about the route first, because if the routes, yes, the monitors really aren't necessarily a discussion. So how does the board feel about the additional route for the general ed? Do we want to keep that, do we want to put that in, or not?
I don't, I mean, it's a lot, there's a big cost difference right now, so I'd like to see, just add the 3 monitors in, let's see how it goes. If we need it for the whole year, that's my thought.
I thought we already decided that was
I did too.
Well, we did know.
I mean, we wanted some stuff to come back,
Right.
but.
Donna?
I would be comfortable with, going with the 3 monitors and see how that works.
Okay, so no to the route, yes to the 3 monitors,
Yeah.
internal. Same thing. Wayne?
Monitors.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the direction.
Yep.
That was the 2 major things, right?
Yep, we'll just have the tax increase and then which option, if any, was the transportation.
And then in terms of the tax increase, do we want to have options on the agenda on Monday, or do we want to eliminate one of the options then?
I think it'll be a cleaner 2 options, and people will go one or the other.
So just a caveat with 2 options, I'll have 2 options with the homestead farmstead, because it is contingent upon what tax increase we select. So we're wanting that'll be option 1 and option 2 with the homestead farmstead in conjunction with 0 and 2.
Sounds good. Then the homestead farmstead is there, we do that every year, that's from the state, that's basically passed through us. And there'll be 2 options depending on that.
Hey Nick, just a quick question. Is there a way to get the tax increase moved to letter A?
The budget.
So we have more of a fruitful discussion with the remaining things underneath.
Okay. Yeah, that's not.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll just have the homestead farmstead right after, so
That's fine.
Sure. 1, 2.
I just think the conversation can be a bit more fruitful and, that's all.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
letter E is this is normally something that's done every year, but it's the ask to move, it's like a placeholder, so that in the fall, there's the option to transfer any surplus funds to the capital reserve. Do you want to sort of give the rationale on your part from that, Tom?
This is solely from an auditor perspective. We need to have it approved by the board prior to June 30th close so that we are eligible in the fall at the end of the audit. There would be a chance and the board would want to choose to move the money from general fund to capital reserve. We are allowed to because it has been board approved prior. We just set the rate in the fall. That's solely the purpose of this, that we're allowed to. If we miss that, then we could not do that. We'd have to go about a different fashion.
All right, thank you for explaining that, because just last month, there was a board item to move money from the capital reserve to the general fund, so.
It was to stop the transfer of general fund money from going to the capital reserve.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yep.
Any other questions on that?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Tom, if we don't approve that E, what happens to the money?
It would just remain in the general fund.
Which I think would be a better idea.
That the board is able to remove it. It's just a standard item we put in case we want to in the fall with the audit. The board has the ability to remove it at any time.
Well, and if I heard Tom right, it gives you the option to do it.
Correct.
You still have to vote for that transfer in the fall, but if you don't approve this, you don't have that option, is what I heard Tom say.
Correct.
It's not an amount. It's not a definite.
Yeah, so the amount's subject to the audit, so if we get no funds to be able to move, we never execute on this option.
Yeah, the audit drives everything on this, you're just giving it a placeholder to be able to say, hey, I want to be able to have that option.
Yeah, so that's where the wording of the amount will be determined in the fall, so when the audit comes through in about October, November, we have a better placeholder. Then the board decides the allocation of those funds. Generally, that's in the November FPS committee meeting.
My one issue with this, Tom, is should they decide to do this, if you decide to raise taxes and it comes back that we have extra money and then we're moving it, any chance that the taxpayers and residents see that we're moving it in the capital reserves, it's not going to look good because we've already done that last year and the year before and the year before. And then we always come back to our budget and say, well, we're in a deficit, we need money. See, that's the problem I'm having. It's the visual part that people see that we're basically having a blank check. And we're saying, well, it may or may not happen, but the problem is, in my opinion, it shouldn't happen at all because it seems like every time we do this, and we've done it every year, it doesn't look good on us because we ask the taxpayers, hey, can you give us 2%? Can you give us 1%? And they're like, what do you mean? And then later on, when the audit's done, we just slide that money over in the capital reserves. Nobody knows the wiser because it's in the fall, it's in December, it's in way past the budget vote. And I just think it's a bit disingenuous to keep doing that. That's my biggest problem with it.
Yeah, the board has the authority to vote this up or down, just like last month.
Correct.
Everybody had the authority to, when it was recommended, to stop money going from the general fund to the capital reserve. And you and other board members voted to continue the money going from the general fund to the capital reserve. So,
You did vote for that, Dwayne.
Vote for what?
You voted for it to continue.
Yeah, you voted
So
for
you're
it to
actually
continue, so you
speaking against it.
No, I voted for
You
it.
did.
you voted for it to go.
No, I
from the
voted
general
for us
fund.
not to continue trying to cover up our deficit.
No, you voted,
That's not
no.
true, you voted for it.
You voted for it to continue
Your
going
vote
from the
was-
general fund to the capital reserve.
Yeah, well, that's where it was originally supposed to go, though.
But if we have excess money and you're saying that we're being disingenuous every year by putting excess money in there, then your vote doesn't make any sense.
Okay, so last year when I argued maybe 5 times, maybe 6, that you should move the 3.2 million, and everybody laughed at me, everybody joked, and including Carl and everybody voted to move it. I said it 50 million times, don't move it, don't move it.
Then why did you vote that way last month?
I voted
What changed?
against it. I
What
voted
changed from
against
that
it.
in your mind?
Well, I mean, we moved 3.2 million, it's stuck there. That's my point. Why would we want to move another million there?
We weren't moving another million.
No, we were stopping another
No,
million.
but
from
what I'm
going-
saying is, why do we want to keep moving money into capital reserves?
We did.
That's what we're
You did.
asking you.
No,
Why
I
did you
said
vote
we
the
wanted
way you
3.2
voted?
million. I voted against moving.
But you did.
No,
But
I
anyway,
voted against
that's-
it.
It's in the minutes. People can go back and look at the
I
minutes.
voted against moving the 3.2 million.
You voted
I voted against it.
continue moving another million.
Yes, that's
Well,
exactly
because
what
we're
you
using
did.
it to hide our deficit.
No, that's not
You
true.
voted to
You voted to
continue
keep it in the
moving
general
it
fund.
to capital reserve.
Yeah.
Move it along.
So, the rest of the agenda, items F through I on finance, property, and supply. Those are not the big ticket budget items or anything. Those are the standard incidentals. So does anybody have any questions on the rest?
I do.
What's your question?
On G, correct me on this, I've read the contract. Is this a free, absolute fee-free contract?
Carolyn, the SAP,
Yes, there's no charge for that. They do
There's no
that for all
charge.
the schools across the state.
Okay, and also, thank you for clarifying that, Dr. Piasky. Tom, on H, when you click on it, it comes to a bank statement. Interstate Facility Services Agreement, comes to a treasury report, I'm sorry.
treasury report.
Yeah, when you click on the link, it comes to a treasury report.
Did I mislead one?
Well, it would be corrected by.
Yes,
next Monday.
it was just double link, so yes, I can correct that.
Thanks.
Any other questions on finance? All right, under personnel, item A. Did somebody say something?
I was gonna, but you're pretty quick tonight. Can I ask you real quick?
Yeah, of course.
So, there was under the True North, documents, there was an item in here that said that there would be a fee, list of fees attached if needed for the future, but it wasn't included in the list of fees wasn't included in the document.
I didn't receive a list of fees. There's no list of fees.
I think it's only included on it if we're paying for any of the services and we're not.
Okay,
It's just for them to
so is there any possibility in the future that we might need to pay for the fees?
That would be a separate contract if we thought we needed them for something. But
Okay, okay, all right, thank you.
Any other questions? All right. Under personnel, item A is approval to grant permission to the acting superintendent and or the approved superintendent to advertise the positions. This is the yearly annual approval for that. However, based on the board's feedback from last month, we made that teaching and support personnel positions. So that does not approve administration. Any questions on that?
One question.
Go ahead.
I did read it, and it says board will finalize approval at the regular meeting. Specifically, would that be the one when we come back? So it doesn't give a date.
It'll be at the following regular meeting to when the hires made. So we have, if needed meetings in July, if there are between next week and the July meeting, if there are things that happen then that the superintendent would approve, then we'll ratify them at that time. Okay, similar from that meeting to August 17th, we'll do the same process.
Okay, so as long as we don't have an extra meeting, we just approve the hires in August.
Correct. Other than that, standard personnel report. Are there any questions? All right. Under CCMP, we have first and final readings of the policies that the committee's reviewed. We have the nurses' standing orders, the Alway Creek disposal list, and the 26-27 student handbooks. Any questions on the CCMP items?
I have a couple.
Janelle?
First is the dress and grooming for pupils, under policy 221. We as a board, all saw the email from the person who attended the award ceremony, and shared the inappropriate attire. I just think if we have this, we need to be following through with it. We have a dress code, so our administrators need to be making sure that our students are dressed appropriately. No pieces hanging out. 707, just a quick, I have two things. First one, what if a new organization wants to use our baseball and softball fields? I don't know if that's your question, if that's a Jeff question.
Either one of us can take it. So if you step in where I'm missing.
Okay, sure.
So if it's a new organization, if it's one of our youth sports, they would fall under our category 1, which is no charge to our youth sports. They're one of the exceptions or exemptions. If they are a club organization, they might fall into a category 2, depending on how many of their kids or participants are Littlestown versus non-Littlestown students.
Okay.
And then if category 3 is really for a profit organization, like your club travel teams and things like that, who have a mix, you know, the majority are not necessarily Littlestown kids and it's for profit, then they would fall under category 3.
Okay.
Spot on.
Okay. Okay, and just one more thing. Under the policy, it does share that there's prohibited activities, says no gambling, games of chance, etc. But what if some organizations want to do raffles? Do they need permission ahead of time, and what would it look like?
They go through the small game of chance. Like some of our youth organizations have the small game of chance licenses, and that's cleared through our athletic department.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
I do need to point something out. We kind of, after the 4-hour plus finance meeting, did go through this really quickly. I do want to point out something else, and I want to make sure the board knows, because if we need to make a change, I need to make it for next week. The PSBA policy that came out did not mention anything about Sundays. So in our current policy, you always approve if we're going to do something on Sundays. You can keep it out that we don't need to approve participation on our fields on a Sunday. Like, we would still approve it through FMX, of course, but you would have the option of not having need to go through the board. Or you could have it go through the board, if like anything after 12, they don't need your permission, but if for some reason they need it before 12. So you have a couple of different options. And I apologize, I should have said this on Tuesday night when we were together, but the PSBA does not have a Sunday stipulation as far as the limitations. So you do need to make a decision on what you want to do with that.
I'm trying to think of who amongst administrators. Dr. Naylor, Dr. Fioschi, can you remember a time in all the board meetings you've attended over the years that the boards voted down a Sunday request?
No, I just sit here and wonder, after how many years do we have to continue that process?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Correct.
My
So,
2 cents.
Yeah. Typically, I think that they're always approved. It's just sort of a rubber stamp.
Yeah.
We never really deliberate, or it's just, if it's passed along from our administration to us, they've vetted it. They know what facilities need to be used. I think that we can trust their judgment as to when is an appropriate timing and all of that sort of thing for it to be approved. The biggest problem that I've seen over the years is a Sunday request that gets submitted too late and doesn't make the board agenda.
Yeah.
And then those people are at a disadvantage. I personally think, and I'm all about board oversight and governance, and the board doing its governance role and exercising its authority that way. I personally I see more value in not having that as part of the policy for us to be required to approve that than making that a required board approval.
I just wanted to make sure you guys knew.
It's a local choice. Yeah.
I'm fine with that too.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah, you all okay with that?
Sounds good.
All right. Any other?
No, I got one coming up.
I have more
Okay.
too. Sorry, go ahead, next on 611. I know I brought that back from our committee. Mainly because of the whole tractor discussion at the finance meeting. So if the majority of the board wants to keep it at the 15 that it was raised to at the committee, and I'm fine with whatever. I just wanted to send it back to see if anyone else had any discussion. Should we lower it back to what it was, which I think was 11.8, just under 12, or was it 12?
Still it's under 12.
Under 12. Keep it at 15, make it lower. I don't know. Just to get more discussion.
Was that already in the works before the whole tractor thing?
That was a PNN.
It was the same evening, I believe.
Yes.
It was it was just the timing when the PNN came out through PSBA. It was an update that they pushed out.
Yep. PSBA recommended 24.5. Committee reduced it to 15.
Which was insane.
Yeah, we
It's currently
raised
allowed.
So it wasn't a
Yeah.
conspiracy to.
It really was not. It was, it's just the way.
Just the way it happened.
It's just the way it happened, and it was the policy that we had ready because the PNN came out and, you know.
I agree with Janelle. I think the board optics, from a board standpoint, is that we have to approve, in my opinion, a lot of these items, and I think we should keep it as low as possible. I think we should keep it as low as possible for this reason. If we are budgeting for 11 individual departments, if we're finding that they're able to go spend $15,000, they're shorting somewhere else, or we're giving them too much money. And I think it just gives a very bad appearance. I think a lot of this stuff should go to the FP&S and be approved by the FP&S, move to the full board, and then approved. Because you're talking about $15,000 here. How many times are we gonna have a $15,000 item to where they just buy it and then it comes to us to pay for it in the general fund? So I agree with Janelle on that. I just think raising it is the wrong direction to go.
Something we talked about last week that we wanted to get Dave's approval or thoughts on was that there could be different interpretations of this meeting and the policy. All purchases that are within budgetary limits would be what we're looking for clarification on. So the two interpretations that we have out there are, one of them being any purchase that is that specific purchase, say a lawnmower. If that specific purchase was budgeted for, like that item within the budget for that amount, that falls within this policy. The other interpretation is any purchase that is within, if we're giving all of the departments a dollar amount, as long as they stay within their dollar amounts, it's up to their discretion to buy their need, whatever they feel they need within that budget. So that's sort of the board's interpretation versus the administration's interpretation. What do you get your way?
Yeah, I mean, big picture, what I see with the clients interpreting is, I believe it's that if it's within the total budget, they can spend up to that amount, right? So perfect example, not to pick on special education, say if a new student comes into the district, they need a certain device, communication device or whatever, you have this threshold that's within the special ed budget, you didn't previously line item that expenditure, but it's within the budget to spend that up to that dollar threshold. That's how I would interpret that.
Oh, so you're saying not that the lawnmower was in the budget, but they had the money to buy a lawnmower in their budget?
Yeah,
Oh, so you're letting them spend their budget whether it's necessary or not?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So unless the contemplated purchase is more than $15,000, so to me, so does that mean just using a lawnmower as a reference here, if that lawnmower, that's a $17,000 item, so that particular item, say that the facilities department had $20,000 remaining in their budget, and they wanted to buy the $17,000 lawnmower. Does that meet the threshold in the policy or not?
The policy's 15 now.
Well, it's under, so I presume then Tom and the administration would come and say, hey, we need your approval because it's over the threshold, but it will come out of our budgeted funds.
We presume the same thing. Didn't happen.
But if it's under the threshold, then I assume it wouldn't have to come.
It was over the threshold. That was the problem.
I'm not aware of what.
Yeah.
I feel like you're setting me up for something here.
No, I'm feeling, I'm just using that as reference point. You can name any expense.
So you're saying if it's under the threshold and in the budget, that the money's there in the budget, they can do it, but if it's
That's
over the
how
threshold.
I would interpret it.
So it would still be, if the expense itself, if it wasn't line item, but it's under the budget, if it's under the 15 and it's within their budget, they can do it. If it's over the amount, whether that line item is, if that line item wasn't there. So I think that our interpretation, even with the ad, is what I think we're all
So they should have told us.
on the same page.
They should have voted on it, is what you're saying.
the question comes, how many times can they do that $15,000 move? I mean, let's say they do it once.
Yeah, but PSA wanted 24.5.
Well, that I think aligns with the bidding thresholds. That's where they came up with that number. That's not out. You know, basically it's below that level of bidding threshold. It's then up to that. If that prevents you from just an expenditure, a budgeted expense that's above the bidding threshold, you should do, right? Something like that.
But even if we take it down to 11.8 where it was, it's still the same problem. Even if it goes down to 11.8, it's still the same thing.
It's not reasonable. Well, and we can try to prove ourselves. We need to prove ourselves to the public.
Okay, but we didn't know they bought a
No,
wall.
I got you. But I'm saying, because of that, unfortunately, because of past practice, whether it was out of our hands or not, unfortunately because of past practice, I think we owe it to the public to prove that we are responsible, fiscally appropriate with the money, and put this policy at, I jumped in on you, I'm sorry, at 11.8. At 11.8.
So are we kicking it
Which is
back?
what it used to be.
That would be the board's option next week, is if they want a modification, you
So
can,
come with an
you can
amount.
make a, well, if you want a modification, you can make a motion to table it, send it back to the committee, to go back through the process.
But, so we can't just change the amount for next week?
No, because this is a on final approval.
Yeah, it's fine.
Well,
It's not
shouldn't this
first
be
reading.
like the finance committee, not our committee?
They were the policy.
Oh, yeah.
I usually attend if there's finance questions.
Okay. Well then.
You attend it, you attend all the time now.
Before I used to only attend when there's finance.
Okay then.
And on Donna's
Next week
point,
I have to make a motion. Not
if
tonight.
we,
can't vote on that.
and I just keep using the lawnmower, I'm sorry. On Donna's point, if we circumvent the process, we do not give the taxpayers, residents, a chance to come to that podium and say, you don't need a new lawnmower. See, that we're circumventing the public's ability to come in here and rule and go against it. And maybe if 20 people show up and say, look, we're not gonna buy a lawnmower, we have to reconsider it, and that's my point.
I don't think that anyone's attempting on the board to circumvent.
No, I didn't say us, I'm just saying we don't want to.
We don't want to circumvent the process. We have to balance the oversight and governance role with the oversight governance role. We're there to provide oversight. We're not there to micromanage every penny that's spent, because that's just not feasible for a board of 9 people to do. So again, it's the same theory for why in a building project there's a change order amount that the superintendent can authorize, but if it's over that, the board has to approve. So I think that we're on the same page. I don't want there to be any public perception that the board is trying to circumvent
No, I
any
didn't mean it that
policy
way.
or change any
No, I didn't mean it that
policy to be not transparent.
No, I said I don't want the public to perceive us as circumventing. I didn't say we were doing it.
Any other questions on CCMP?
Yep, one more.
You're running out of questions.
Sorry. If I had new business, I could bring it up then. Handbook. Under the surveys, so I do appreciate the link being there, so thank you for adding that. For the opting out of any surveys for our students. I didn't see one in ACES, but I'm assuming there's not really any surveys in ACES happening or going on. And I want to make sure that
They added it to ACES.
Oh, okay, because I didn't see it today. Okay, that's all right. If it's there,
I will double check.
I will. Okay. Thank you. But I just want to make sure that it's not that the families and parents, guardians can opt out at the beginning of the year, but it can be they can opt out at any time during the year.
Well, our handbooks are linked and live, so when we send out, so I'll just run for the pay survey. So when we go to administer that, a few weeks before, we'll be putting out social media posts to let parents know that that survey's coming out. And so those forms are always available, linked on our webpage.
Okay.
So they're live all throughout the year.
Okay, thank you.
And then once the board approves the handbooks, then we upload the new ones onto the site.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. That's all my questions. But did you have another one? Did you have one, Donna?
I do. I have two, actually. So, whoever would like to answer this is fine with me. How do we handle when we have a family or multiple families that don't have internet? So, in regards to these handbooks that are online and all sorts of things that are online nowadays. How do we handle that?
That is a Dr. Naylor.
Okay.
Well, I can say at building level, we have them printed out, available for any
Yeah.
student or parent to come pick up at the office.
And then we also have, we still have hotspots, do we not? Yeah.
There's an educational need for internet at home. We provide a hotspot for that family.
Oh, that's pretty good. And something to use a hotspot with, like.
Well, they have their straight device.
Any other questions?
I do, I have one more. But it's on the, Alloway Creek, inventory list. I was wondering why, I know every year we need to get rid of things and make room for new and improved, I get that. But it seems like in this particular list, there's a lot of, inventory to remove, there's a lot of things that, items in here that I wouldn't necessarily keep, like, there's a ton of material in here, all different material for Wilson. I don't know why we're getting rid of that. Maybe we have new, Wilson coming in to take its place. In addition to that, we have, some books that I would consider pretty good, like, there's a lot of history, in here, Voices of a Civil War, and, the War of 1812, and, I mean, I'm sure you guys have reasons to why you chose these particular items. America's Early Settlers, American Revolution, the Civil War, and we're getting rid of dictionaries, Merriam-Webster dictionaries. Maybe we have new ones, and I'm sure there's a reason. I just don't know what it is. I was just curious.
Yeah, so the list of information, part of when I came down to Alloway 3 years ago, was this flux of, if you remember, I can't remember 100% for sure if you were there in August, when you had a purge at the beginning of the school year on the timeline. And some of this goes back. So there's just been a lot of materials that are over there from the Rolling Acres days.
Okay.
That there's no boxes, meaning once they make the move, they realize they can't need those resources anymore, but it's just been housed. So on the list this year to do, we did a preliminary purge in August of some items that ranged from 1984 to 2016. For that. So we did another purge here at the end of the year, and the purge expectation was anything that's not being used, that's outdated, and it's really collecting dust on the shelf. So all the information that's there are items that are no longer being used directly in our dedicated instruction. And obviously, most of that information is 2020 and past. I mean, we saw some 1954 stuff on there. So there's just been a plethora of stuff that's been housed in that building forever. We're limited on space. We're not using it for direct instructional purposes. We're looking to purge that information, whether it's to go to be resold and something could be gained out of it, or 1954. I love 1954, but I'm not for sure that there's too much value that's going to come from that. It's a specialized market of people who would be interested in those types of things. And some of the materials also have outdated information. It's not accurate.
Like we did a lot at the high school. Keep in mind, like they all have devices in their hands. You don't need a dictionary. Like they all have it right in front of them at any given time. So just the world of I need an actual in my hand dictionary just looks a little different than it used to. So a lot of these things that maybe we did at high school because we were doing our construction and making space is replicable in other ways. That's more functional for kids with the technology that we put in their hands.
Yeah, there's still some dictionaries out there. We use them with their ESL population as far as that. So it's not like we don't have dictionaries over there.
But it's replicable. This is all replicable.
But it's not needed here for that.
And how are we replicating the Wilson material? Or are we?
So Joey, I took a look through there and I saw those Wilson materials are outdated.
Okay.
And I think they came over from Rolling Acres.
Okay.
Teachers who taught at Rolling Acres, came to Alloway Creek and they brought all their stuff with them. So the reading program has changed over the past 33 years.
So we don't use Wilson at all anymore?
They don't use it in the general ed setting. In general ed, we use it in special ed. 2 teachers use it, but no.
Okay, good enough. Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, that concludes the review of the regular meeting agenda. Before we go into the action items, we're going to take a brief couple-minute recess just to get our candidates situated, and we'll be right back. So we're going to, the board stands at recess for just a few moments.
That's fine. Well, I didn't know if this
Oh, no.